All right. Hello, friends. Hello, Asaf. Hello, Chris. Hello, all our friends all around the world who joined us for
Hello.
the
Hello,
show
everybody.
this week. Great to see you all. Great to see the connections already happening in the chat over there. Cannibal in France, Margarita in Arizona, and Gabriel in Oregon, and Yetzi, as always, here from, I forget where Yetzi. Where's Almir? I don't remember. And Julie in Utah. So great to be with everybody here. We
France?
are,
No?
what? Yes? Hello?
Is that France?
Philippines, Romania, yeah. Bunch of places.
About to look it up.
The world is changing. The world
Yes.
always changes, my dad says.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm
but the world
familiar
is
with
still
That's a
this.
changing.
smart guy.
Yeah, every
He's
person,
right.
every
But
person
the world,
you try talking to
Oh,
about how the
Netherlands.
world is
Yetzi's
changing.
Netherlands. I just looked it up.
Yet is Netherlands. The every person you try to talk to about how the world is changing, it's like, yeah, but there's always been changes, and they're
it's
not
always
they're
changing.
not wrong. I tell you that it's the
Yeah.
world is
So
dynamically changing.
I
So what's
I
different
guess
today, Seth? What is different?
what I guess we're different. I guess that's the issue because the world is changing and we're changing also. We have the ability to not be passive observers of all of these changes. We have the ability to not live like animals. We have the ability to understand what is going on. Why is there this tiny speck of dust? If you zoom out, Earth is some tiny speck of dust in all of this. And all of this life is going on here. We didn't yet find it anywhere else. What is this all about? What is the purpose of our lives? And we're going into that. We are all students of the Kabbalist, Rob Lightman. We are really interested in what are these changes going on in the world through how can we interpret that through the wisdom of Kabbalah? What does it all mean? Because, yes, you're right. It is changing and it's always changing, but is it going somewhere? Why? Where are we in the whole process of that? Did you notice, guys? Did you notice, everyone, that usually when we wake up in the morning and then, like, some problem, maybe by the time you get to the shower, maybe even before then, you start thinking about what you need to do that day and maybe what you forgot to do yesterday and oh crap, what's coming up this weekend? Some stress comes on,
Oh, yeah.
right? But
Oh,
then
yeah.
then it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, but in about 10 minutes I'm gonna have my coffee, right? Then I
Oh,
get my coffee
thank
and I
God
just
for the
chill. Yeah,
coffee.
Yeah.
thank God, and like
Yeah.
just put the
Ah,
problems
okay. I
aside for a
got
minute,
yeah. I
and
got the
yeah, I
coffee. I got
have
the.
I have my coffee, okay, and then
Yeah. I
you start
stopped
getting
drinking coffee, so that doesn't apply to
just.
me. But yeah,
I'm sure you have something else you can.
I do
Okay, well,
actually.
so maybe you'll
Chicory
relate to
root.
one of the
I'm
other
drinking
examples.
chicory root. Anyway, go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I know that stuff. What's it called?
Chicory
Is it
root.
comes in a
Yeah.
can? No, but you get the kind that comes in
Ah,
a
the
truck.
dandelion. I was into dandelion. A while ago, a couple
Okay,
of
now
years
I'm
He
ago.
goes through
envious.
phases.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
So
the
if
only
it's not,
reason is because as a normal adult Western person, I got addicted to coffee at an early age, and then a couple of years ago, I discovered that it's really, really bad for me specifically. So I just found
At
an
least you figured it out.
alternative. So I'm just checking out alternative. That's it. But
okay.
yeah, but I'm just drinking now one a day,
So
and
maybe
that's
you'll
it.
relate to the other examples then. So if it's not the coffee, but
Yeah.
um then you get towards the bottom of the cup, it starts to cool down a little. You just have to start
Right.
Yeah.
thinking about life again. Okay, back to reality. And then some other stress comes. Am I running late for work? What do I have to do today? But then we set some other kind of mile marker. You know what? As soon as I finish, these three emails, or as soon as I finish working on this task, then I'm going to check my Twitter, or then I'm going to go for a walk, or then I'm going to go get a cigarette, or then I'm going to have my lunch, and
Right.
or maybe so these ones are very short goals. Maybe there's another
Yeah.
one that says, if I just make it through December, January, we got that trip to Costa Rica. That's, then,
Mm.
ah, you know, or like if
Yeah.
I could just make
Mm-hmm.
it through these 2 more weeks, there's gonna be a holiday, you're gonna have 4 days off. If I just close this deal, then I'm gonna get that new car.
Mm-hmm.
Or once I do this, then my wife, I can get her
Yeah.
that thing.
So we, we
Telling her
keep
I'm
we keep motivating ourselves to just do one more thing or just do this,
So this is
but
this is one
yeah.
way to look at it. I'm actually looking at it as it's
Mm-hmm.
like pouring water on a fire that won't quiet down. It calms us, like it's
Uh-huh.
just like this uncomfortableness starts coming up, and then calm it down. And we're constantly,
Wait,
if you
wait.
notice
So
it,
you're not. You should go deeper here then, because I think you're looking at it from a deeper perspective than what people are hearing it as. Because it sounds like you're talking just about like how we, human beings, we prefer to not work as much, to not do as much, and we're just waiting for a little off vacation, off time, or something like that. You're talking about something deeper though.
I'm saying that if we examine our lives, if we look at ourselves right now, even this show hopefully serves its purpose for some. This is a healthy place to go. But if we look at our day, if we look at our lives, we'll find that we are constantly feeling empty, and we're constantly planting some goal in front of us, whether it's the next cigarette in 10 minutes, or the next coffee in 15 minutes, or the next, or a walk, or the car after I close the next deal. We're constantly planting something there that can help me deal with the empty feeling that I'm feeling inside. Okay, that's what I'm saying. That there's
Or
these
can't wait to
emptinesses.
get to sleep, just so I did like yeah.
Right. I want to juxtapose it against something else. But what I want to get.
That's it's an interesting thing when you put it like that. Just to add one more. I mean, did you ever have this experience when you already have your coffee or your cigarette or whatever it is, and you're already thinking about the next one?
Yeah, every day.
While you're having it, or you're already like, you even forget that you're doing what you wanted to be doing a couple of minutes ago, and now you're doing it.
So some of us are lucky
that happens
enough.
to people. Yeah.
Yeah, some of us are lucky enough that happens, and we'll talk about why we're lucky enough today. That's what we're going to talk about, because if we stop to think about what am I doing? Why am I living? Beyond the coffee or the cigarette or the walk or getting to Netflix tonight or being able to fall asleep at the end of the day or going on vacation next month. What is the purpose of me being alive? That's a really big question compared to how can I calm myself down and I say have coffee, cigarette, walk, this. But if I look at the big question, that's an issue. There's a big question, just to give you another example, if this one wasn't clear enough. New York City generates 14 million tons of trash every year. A lot of garbage.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of garbage.
Yeah. The agency that manages the waste in New York City, in this 3-mile island, this small, however big it is, this small couple miles of island, the budget of the waste department is $1.5 billion. It's like a bigger budget than the couple dozen
Sounds
countries.
like a lot. Right.
Okay, bigger than a couple dozen countries, but I want to show you something cute. Look at this little cuteness here. Can you see that?
Yeah, bro. Also, up your volume just a tad. I think just a little
Panera
bit more.
bread.
Hold on, no, you did. You
Show
missed,
it again. Show it again.
You missed the.
Ah,
you missed
okay,
the
we
Love
missed
some
the
cuteness.
Panera
punch.
bread.
Okay, hold
Okay.
on, I lost it. Just a second, I'll find
Soup
it.
bowls. They have the soup bowls there.
I missed
Bread
it. I didn't even.
Yeah, I'm
see
gonna
it.
show you. I'm gonna show you. Where did I download it?
Getting sick. A little sick. Oh, ha.
Here we go.
Yeah, you're
that.
getting sick now.
I don't know. Who knows? It's around
Okay.
this time.
Tell me if you can see this, guys.
Yeah, here it is. We see
Okay,
that.
so
Yeah,
read it,
okay.
just so I know that you can. So just read it to me.
Attention, Panera guests. Panera Bread. It's a restaurant, right? This state requires restaurants to make straws available only upon request. Please let a team member know if you'd like a straw. Is that how we're supposed to read it?
So
Okay.
the idea, guys, is we're generating 14 million tons of trash every year. But that's not manageable. This kind of problem is not. What is manageable? Straws, plastic
Right.
straws.
Start with the
That's
straws.
something.
Yeah.
Let's start. Let's start with
Speaking of
something
garbage, up to 50% of the food produced globally goes to waste. Let's deal with that. Let's feed some hungry people. There's almost 1 billion people going hungry every day, if I'm not wrong. Maybe 900 million, something like that. And half the world's
Yeah.
food is just
Okay,
going to nowhere.
Well, we're gonna tackle just a
yeah.
few
Fair
problems
straw.
today. We're not gonna tackle every problem in the world today.
No,
'cause-
let's start with the straws.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay, so
Start with the straws.
No, that's actually not tackling the problem, and that's the point. The
Right.
point is that this problem, the real problem here, is very, very big, but we have a need to calm ourselves down, and we have a need to feel like we're doing something.
Ah,
And that's what these kind
Okay.
of small
gotcha.
goals that we're
I see
constantly
what you're
putting in
saying.
front of ourselves, because otherwise,
Yeah.
psychologically, it's way
Mm-hmm.
too overwhelming.
Right.
Emotionally, it's way too overwhelming. So if even though I get my coffee in a plastic cup, if you give me my iced coffee in a plastic cup, but if I don't take the straw, if I take the paper straw, which anyway disintegrates in the cup after 10 minutes, it's useless.
Mm-hmm.
But if I take the plastic straw, I feel good about myself.
Yeah.
Restaurant feels good
Right.
about themselves. They even put a
Mm-hmm.
sign up. We saved, 30,000 straws in the last 5 years. I don't know.
Well, they probably save
Mm-hmm.
some money too. Let's not forget about that. Also very important.
Also good for their reputation. Everyone wants to be green.
Good for
Yeah.
the reputation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really, we may feel a little bit uncomfortable today on the show, everybody, and it's not bad necessarily. We don't want to feel bad. We want to feel good, but we're on our way to feeling good. We have to uncover some of these things. What is, we're not going to fix the trash problem. We're here. We're not here actually. We're here to deal with souls. That's our business. We're not in the trash business, in the
Or the
wisdom of
soul
Kabbalah.
dealing business.
But it's a really good example. We're not going to solve the trash problem in New York City with paper straws. It's a joke.
Right. Right.
And what would happen if we in our personal lives looked at the big questions? What the hell am I doing in this life? What am I living for? I
Yeah.
can calm myself down with the coffee. I can calm myself down with that vacation to Costa Rica, which is great, by the way. And the monkeys are super cool to see, and surfing and everything. It's nice. But I'm empty again. And I'm even empty sometimes when I'm there. So, and is that the whole point of life? Because if you wake up in the morning and you feel crappy, and you take you do a line of cocaine, or smoke a joint, or have a drink, and then you feel better. That is a solution. No, that's a solution.
No, it's
And then how
one
long
one
does
could
it
say,
last?
exact. I mean, a couple hours, let's say, but
Okay, so do another one do another line
Yeah.
after a couple hours, and why not? If the purpose of life is just to enjoy, why not just
Yeah.
keep doing cocaine and drinking?
why even
I mean,
connect
we
to
don't-
reality at
30
all?
minutes
Why-
more like, let's be honest, guy. A line of coke is like 30 minutes.
Okay, so the problem is there. It's we can answer that one
But
pretty
coffee,
quickly.
even in the middle of a coffee, you're like, I don't want to think about, because when you say vacation, you're really saying like a vacation from thinking about
Problems.
problems. Yeah.
My emptiness.
It's not just Costa Rica. Yeah, exactly. This is a vacation. This could be a vacation if I go make my coffee and I
Right.
don't have to think
Yet
about
if you
anything.
pour the water in slowly and you go to
Make
the
it last.
sink slowly. You're right, exactly. Trying to stretch this process out
Yeah.
as long as possible.
Yeah.
The thing about the drugs is it is a great solution, but nature doesn't really permit it, because after a while the body starts to shut down, or the body starts to get sick, or we start acting like such a jerk that the people around us can't tolerate us, and we can't
Yeah,
maintain
it's not a
relationships.
durable strategy for.
It's too
for,
bad that it's not.
Right.
It's
because
for
it would
dealing
be
with
great just-
with life. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If
Right.
that's your
'Cause-
plan, to just let's just completely put it in our water stream or whatever, and just completely
Yeah.
disconnect from reality and
Right.
get it over with, basically.
Just a hose that's just connected here, and I can
Exactly,
just
just
sit.
a Coke
It's like a
hose
drip.
into- yeah.
Coke hose.
It's too bad that it doesn't work, because then we could at least enjoy it until we die. Then we could at least enjoy life until we die. So what the heck are we doing here? And
Yeah. I
But
gotta
to
I
even
gotta
get
say
to
one
that
thing
question,
though.
it's hard.
Yes, and also, do you think that a lot of people feel like life is a burden?
You want a
Yes.
percentage of people?
let's ask
Yes.
everybody, just everyone in the chat,
Yeah,
just tell us.
you think?
And listen, we understand everyone here is very holy, and we understand everyone here, only wants good. But let's be honest for a minute, because we have to, if we're going to really
Feels good to be
look-
honest.
If we want to fix the problem, we have to understand what it is, right? Like using a paper straw feels good.
Because
But if
I
we're
think
honest, it's not going to fix the problem.
I think okay, yes, some people are saying yes, but yes, sometimes. Interesting. I mean, I think that for a lot of people, they just like you said, avoid the question. Just don't, don't it's burdening to think about it. But
And they
if
don't
you
even
just
know that they're avoiding it. That's also a thing.
yeah, just flowing with the currents of life, just flow, and trying to make the best out of it, and not really pay attention or think of or contemplate how much is this really worthwhile. There's this very, in your face kind of calculation that Bala Sulam, the greatest Kabbalist of the previous century, is doing, where he says, just look at your life, put it on the scales, all of the happy moments, all of the good stuff, all of the fun stuff, all of the pleasure, and then put on the other side of the scale all of the suffering, pain, effort, work, exertion, not fun things.
You have to wake up every morning. That's already a lot on the other side.
You cannot say that, oh, that there's definitely, more on the positive side than on the negative side.
A surplus of happiness. Right?
Yeah, it's probably the other way around.
So
Who's paying for that? There's always we end life in a deficit. So anyway, it's really
so there's another really interesting phenomenon to add to this question. We also have this desire to be alive, to live forever, to stay. Basically, we all have this feeling that I want to live forever. I don't want to die.
Yes.
So what is that? Where's that coming from?
Some people do want that, and some people don't, but definitely some people do. Some people chase it. Some people dedicate their lives to it.
I think this is time to
bring
go
him in.
to
bring it
yeah,
on. Bring him on.
to bring our buddy here that we wanted to talk about. I think it's right on the money. So wait, I don't know if you can see this now. I know you can't. Let me just. How about now? Can you see this? Can you see my screen?
Just
okay.
It's not full.
So
pin it maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Does that
Half
work?
screen now. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is good enough, right? Okay. So this is inventor Ray Kurzweil, and as you can see from the title, he sees immortality in our future. Right, so basically, Ray Kurzweil, he's like a very, very smart person. He's a futurist, inventor, chief engineer at Google. He invented a bunch of things like the blind reader, music synthesizer, the speech recognition systems, bunch of things. I don't know all the things, a lot of
a
things.
Revolutionary for
no. The guy is a very smart guy, well respected, etc., etc. He predicts stuff. I think that according to some account, his prediction, he predicted things like, the use of wireless networks way before it happened, that a computer will be able to defeat the world chess champion, which also happened, a bunch of things like that. And I think there's like an 85% accuracy to all of his predictions, and he's saying we might just live forever. He basically says the concept is this, from what I read. He talks about a concept called longevity escape velocity. So basically it means how quickly we can kind of like escape our death. So the idea is that we will be able, through technology and science and medicine and so on, to extend our lifespan by more than a year every year. So the idea is that technology, it develops exponentially, right? Like think about a hockey stick kind of graph where there's like the pace of development itself is accelerating. So, like our phone the phone that you have today is like 1 billion times more powerful per dollar than the computers that NASA used for like the Apollo era spacecraft, right? Like, and
That's so crazy to think
it's
about.
Crazy. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah,
I even read that like your phone technically could like guide 120 million such spaceships. Like it's insane. Like the technology is becoming exponentially more powerful, faster, and smaller. That's another big thing.
So it's realistic what you're saying. It's realistic what he's saying.
I'm giving you his argument. Let's talk about afterwards.
No, I mean,
realistic
what he's saying is he sees it
Oh,
like,
he's a
no,
smart
Moore's
guy.
law is also with could be with health.
He's a smart guy. He's not just coming, hey, we're gonna live forever. He makes a very clear kind of argument. So for instance, the size, right? Technology becomes smaller. So very soon we'll have like computers the size of blood cells. What does that mean? That means that, for instance, if your white blood cells take like 1 hour to kill a germ, you can throw nanobots into the bloodstream,
Yes.
and they can do it in seconds. So and then he looks at like
And that's not far away. That's not far away.
Not
either.
that far
this
away,
is, like,
apparently.
things-
so
and they've already
basically-
created. I just saw another article. They
Yeah.
have like this blood that they've grown in a lab, and they're using it to. They're injecting blood that they.
Oh,
literally
yeah,
grew
they're
in a
talking
lab
about
and putting it in people.
And that in the future you're not going to need any blood donations because you're going to make blood from already existing blood. Yeah, there's that. So basically the idea is life expectancy was like 19, average life expectancy like 1,000 years ago. Then 200 years ago it's 37. Then today it's about 75. And basically currently every decade life expectancy increases by about 2.5 years. So basically, he just continues the trend and the exponential technology growth and so on. And he says, look, we're going to be able to extend life faster than life ends. More, let's say by more than a year every year, right?
It's the inverse relation of life and vessels. The longer the life goes,
life.
the more the feeling of emptiness grows.
Hey, that's true.
The inverse relation
You know
of
what'd be
life and
crazy?
emptiness. Yeah.
2,000 years ago, you don't need to bring a cell phone and show a person. You just need to bring someone who's 90 years old, and they'll be like, "Whoa, what is this guy? He's
Right.
like an alien. I've never seen a 90-year-old
Yeah.
before."
So, given all of the stuff we talked about in the beginning, what do you make of that? Do you think it's going to happen? First of all, do you think we are? Do you feel like living forever? What do you say? Or let's
That
say
is so subjective.
even significantly increasing our life expectancy, like living for 300 years, 500 years. What do you say? How does that feel?
I would, I used to be, I've always been searching for meaning in my life. And there was a period before I found the wisdom of Kabbalah where I became orthodox, religious for like 6 years. I just wanted to know what God wanted me to do, and I just wanted to do it. I was like very naive,
Right.
but really sincere.
So this was a couple years before Kabbalah, right?
Kabbalah, yeah. Then I crashed and burned after that because I couldn't. What happened was, and no disrespect to anybody, but I kept asking like the most learned rabbis I could find, like but what about dinosaurs? Or like, what about this? Or what about this? And one guy told me, he said, well, if God created the world in 6 days, he could have put the bones in the ground on the 4th day. I was like,
Oh, no.
yeah, I just couldn't.
done.
I just had questions. I couldn't get answers. Not about dinosaurs, but just like, how does it all fit? Anyway,
I'm
That's
actually happy
interesting
you
for me
you bring
too.
it up.
In my religion, I remember seeing a video about that. My youth minister showed me, and I remember thinking, "This is what's going on." It was the dinosaur bone thing. For me, that was also a turning point. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. You never said that before. Yeah.
So
No, sorry, Asaf. I cut
No,
you
no.
off.
I'm happy that Seth brought this up, just because many times I see like people who are checking out our material on the channel and on our show, like here and there, and like probably they're coming from maybe some religious background or something like that, and anyway, I think it's good to know that someone like Seth, who's been doing Kabbalah for like the best part of the last 2 decades, that he knows what he's talking about when he's in terms of the difference between religion and Kabbalah, because people have all kinds of ideas. And so anyway, go ahead, just go ahead.
okay, yeah. One day in the future, we'll be able to talk about that more.
Yeah. Yep. Not
but
now.
I remember asking a rabbi. So, it's called the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. It's like a book, in short, everything you're supposed to do. How to wipe
for
the
dummies.
bathroom, how to do everything you could think of. It's when you've cut
Just
your
for those who
fingernails,
have
which
no idea what you're talking about, this Shulchan Aruch is basically the Jewish code of laws, basically.
of law, right? So,
yeah.
and this was a kitzur a short version. Just
Right.
do 1, do this, 2, do this, 3, do this, 4, do this, and this was like the will of God, something like that materialized. Okay,
Okay,
So I was very upset. I said to him, "Why do we need to sleep
mm-hmm.
if we're supposed to do these things? So just give us all of the time and just let us do them." Why? It didn't make any sense to me. These were the kind of questions I had. Like, if this is what we're supposed to do, then let's just do it. Why should we stop doing it? Why should we like rest from doing it? He did have a really good answer. It wasn't like a deep answer, but he said also, God made day and night, and God made the creature that it needs to sleep also. But the question of, I was on fire to find some answers. That's what led me to eventually find our teacher and find the wisdom of Kabbalah. But when you ask, if you lived forever,
Yeah.
I think it would take away all the urgency of really needing to do anything. If you live, I mean, if all of
Yeah,
a
it's like
sudden,
because anything you can just say, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. It's like,
I'll exercise tomorrow.
I'll do it in 100 years. Okay.
Exactly. Why tomorrow?
How's that? Like, honey, can you take the trash out? I'll do it in like, sure. Next year, I'm on it. I'm totally on it.
Well,
50
Salam
years,
has
you
a
got it.
story where he says like when you, I don't remember the exact story, but something like you realize that you have some valuable gem in your pocket, like you didn't you
Oh.
didn't know before, and once you realize, it's like all of a sudden you're walking down the street, you're like a totally different guy, and like everything is exactly the same. You just know that the gem's in your pocket, like this valuable gem's in your pocket, and knowing that everything changes. It's like
Changes,
if I
yeah.
live forever,
What do you guys think about the fact that this is really I don't have like I don't know what I'm thinking about this, but it's definitely stimulating to think about. When we were kids, at some age, before we knew people die and that death is part of what the end of every human being kind of thing, we didn't know that. So there were a couple of years, probably, I don't know, when you were 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe, when you didn't know that you were going to die. Can you remember how that felt like? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even sure that I can express who I was, like, how I saw life. I mean, it's something, the notion of mortality, the knowledge of mortality is something that as soon as it kicks in, it just like formats you, like you have a new operating system. And I can't even conceive of, how it was like to be a little child not knowing that. You can't you can't go
I
back
think it was
Yeah,
in a way.
it's taken away.
14 when the first kind of real person that I knew died close to me. It was a friend of mine's dad. I think it was about 14.
Oh,
I
but
mean, I
you
think
already
he might-
knew that people die by that age. Of
Yeah, I
course.
knew that people die, but it never really hit home. And
Yeah.
It was like real to you then.
I
Yeah.
remember like putting my head in my bed and crying like, "Why me?" Like, of course
Right.
it was not. It was way worse for him, but just it hit home, and it was as if this was some foreign thing that never happened to anyone ever before, and
Makes you ask a lot of questions.
yeah. Makes
So, what do
ask
you
a
guys
lot of
think
questions.
about immortality? The way Ray Kurzweil talks about, like that.
Well, listen,
Yeah. Go ahead.
well, I also know, like maybe for me, let's say for me, I don't really care. Let's say sometimes I can look at life and be like, I don't want to keep doing this forever. Like, I don't want to keep working forever. I don't want to have to take all those calculations. That's another thing. But then you look at it from a different aspect, which maybe would be, I would be causing suffering to those around me if I died, or it's better for them if I stay alive. Like, there's kind of other calculations besides just me living longer to enjoy longer. Is that the point, to live longer? I want to be alive for 500 years because why actually? Why do I want to? Why is he? Do you know why Ray wants to be alive? Why he wants to solve this problem?
I don't know. I mean, I guess he just wants to live more. I don't know.
I kind of need to know why. I kind of need because from my perspective, I look at it and I'm seeing. Wait a second. I see what's confusing about this. I see what's confusing because there's a thing about age because when you get older, your body just kind of like stops working, and then you're like, okay, if it
No,
stops
but the
working, I might as
idea
well just kind
is
of cut it off.
the idea is that age reversal will be part of the process. They're actually talking about
Oh,
how yeah, there's some research now, like in dying mice, for instance, they were epigenetically reprogrammed to be younger again, and actually, bald spots were gone, and their osteoporosis, reversed itself, things like that. Like, there's a lot of science. In fact, they're saying, some medical researchers that are saying that soon the better way, the more rational way to fight diseases of old age, like Alzheimer's and things like that, will be to not try to fix these problems, but rather reverse aging. It's just going to make
huh,
more sense as technology,
right.
biosimulations, things like that, all kinds of stuff like advances. The point is, I
Hmm.
want us to go here on this question from a spiritual perspective, from a Kabbalistic perspective. How do, if we are indeed living in a world where maybe, he says within 10 years, I think I didn't say this, he says within a
32.
decade, yeah,
Yeah.
within a decade, this is going to start becoming a reality. So how about, think about it, like, not as a fantasy, but as like, just like you have billionaires today, it'll probably start with them, right? Probably it'll cost a lot of money in the beginning. So let's say, just like you have billionaires today who are buying a flight to space for, a vacation, just some sort of a off time, off the planet. What if within a decade or two you're gonna start seeing billionaires who are going through some reprogramming of their DNA or some type of thing like that, and they live for, like, you'll have
Hmm.
an Elon Musk who lives 400 years, and it'll start like that. What do you think that means? How would
It
life,
changes completely.
yeah, what does that mean, do you think, for humans in terms of our spiritual development?
Well, eventually you're gonna ask, why am I doing this? Eventually, maybe on year
Hmm.
200, 300. Isn't that the same kind of thing as like as reincarnations? If we're talking about like the soul has to experience this
Oh,
and then
that's a
dies and
good
doesn't get to
point.
it, keeps going.
Oh, I love
At
this
some point,
this
you're gonna be like,
point.
why am I doing this?
No, no, no. Wait a minute. You just opened up something here, because if
Uh-oh.
you if you look at our body, if you look at ourselves as mortal, if you look at ourselves as living for 100 years, a thousand years, doesn't matter, but living and dying, and that's where you get to be you. That's where you get to be something that exists. Then
Mhm.
then it makes sense to extend it to, let's say, you're having a good time, you're not suffering your whole life, you want to do more of this, you don't want it to go away so quickly, so yeah, let's extend life. But if you just brought up reincarnations and so on, so if we are not disappearing anyway, then what is it that we're doing by extending the life of the biological body? It's we're not doing much, actually, because you're not,
Right. I see what
if
you're
you're
saying
if
now.
you're going to continue in another body anyway, and your true self, your true I, doesn't die, and it's actually some non-material
Well, so this makes sense if
concept.
you have some, if you can retain your consciousness. Like if I, for example,
Mm-hmm.
I'm 90 years old,
Right.
but I'm going to reincarnate and I know about it. And when I come back, I'm going to grow again. I'm going to be strong again. I'm going to learn new things again. I'm going to go through the joys again. But I get to keep my consciousness somehow. So then maybe
Mm-hmm.
I'm game. It'd be like a crazy adventure and I like go through a portal and then I'm reborn again and
Mm-hmm.
it could be interesting.
Can you
But
imagine
if
going
I
through
have to
high
start
school again?
but if I don't get to retain any of that consciousness and it doesn't feel like it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
That's what when a
Also,
person dies that they, they feel that they that it's it because
yeah.
the sense of I goes away.
There's a
Right.
lot here because it changes everything so drastically. It's even hard to talk about because it seems so otherworldly, so different to have that kind of existence where you live forever, because death dictates basically everything that you do, and the way that you think, how you interpret life, how you perceive life, is has to do
You
with the
guys
death.
must know. I definitely know people like that this happened to, and you guys must also that as a person, you have a person who's like super cavalier, like even super type A personality. But like as they get older, and maybe they get grandchildren, and like they start to maybe have a few health issues, all of a sudden they start becoming like more calm, more
Right.
like thoughtful, more
Low key.
contemplative. They're willing to have
Yeah.
certain conversations about things that before they just wanted to conquer the world, take over, and then
Mm-hmm.
once you start to feel that, where you are in the sunset years, so to speak. My grandfather used to say, "Well, there's nothing golden about the golden years," That was like one of his lines. But once you start to get there, you think about life in a different way, and what would happen then if we didn't have that? If we just felt that, and I think I saw an answer is coming to your question, that we start to think that there's something else besides me. If I think I might die, and if I think I'm gonna live forever, then everything is really kind of focused on me.
I would say, I think that that to some extent, I identify with this very much. With the people like Ray Kurzweil and others that are, look, let's do this. Let's become. There, it's a very interesting thing that as humans, we have. I don't know if everyone, of course, if you're suffering in life, then you don't. But one of the qualities of the human is that you think about the eternal. You think about eternity. You are able to contemplate it. You're able to put it in your mind and heart as something that is beyond you, but you can contemplate it. You can think about it. And this quest for extending life, I think, is sort of a flirt with eternity. It's sort of human beings are flirting with the idea of
The
eternity and
concept of it,
eternal
yeah.
life. Yeah, it's like, why? Because the moment you take death out of the equation of life, out of the equation of human life, the moment when you take mortality out of the equation, that changes how you perceive and experience this experience we call life. It changes everything, right? Now,
It's
the
sickness too, not just life living forever, but you're
right,
basically saying
okay,
you're not getting sick.
yes,
There's almost like nothing. It's almost like you have nothing to worry about anymore. Well, I'm like, what? Can I jump off a bridge and then they'll just put me back together again, kind of thing? I mean, you're saying if it's going at an exponential curve like that, eventually that's something that's like possible, like in Star Wars or whatever. They have those ideas, the robots like putting you back together,
yeah,
right?
but here I
So
have to,
so you don't have any concerns anymore. No. Okay. What?
yeah, that's right. The other side of it, like the flip side of it, I mean, so on the one hand, I see it as like, human beings are flirting with the idea of eternity, and technology now makes it more reasonable to flirt with it, right? But on
Right.
the other hand, I mean, from our perspective, from the vantage point of Kabbalah, this is very childish. It's very childish because okay, what if the body lives for a few hundred years? Where does that make you? Does that mean you're going to be eternally fulfilled? Does that mean you're going to be
Well, no,
happy?
hold on. So
Does
that's
that
another question. That's
okay?
another question because nobody's asking, can I be happy or can I be eternally fulfilled? They're just saying, can I keep the protein body alive forever?
Exactly. Exactly. And
You
that's
mean they're
why I
missing
think
that part of the
they're
equation?
they're missing like the whole. What's the point? It's what Seth said in the
What's the
beginning.
point?
What's the point of
Yeah.
living? It's
Now I
not
see how
about
it's
how
connected. Right.
exactly. It's not about how how long I live. It's about what am I living for? And I
The
think
quality of that.
and I think
Yeah.
the idea of extending life expectancy to hundreds of years or even indefinitely, theoretically, like the Ray Kurzweil brings up as an idea for the future, that even strengthens the question. It makes it more relevant. If we even have more time to live, okay, then what for? If it ends
Right.
quickly, then at least it's like, okay, let's just make the best out of it. Let's just not suffer. Like Seth said in the beginning, next cigarette, next coffee, next drug, next this. Okay, is it done yet? Okay, 20 more years. Is it?
Is it
Let's
done
get it
yet?
over with. Let's get it over with. But if it's endless, you're
That's
you're
really
gonna
our
need a
life. Is
point.
it done
You're
yet?
gonna need a reason. If
Yeah.
it's
Do you
going to
think it'll
take that. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think it'll bring us to spirituality faster if the body won't die? For example, or when I say spirituality, I'm talking about
Yeah,
endless
yeah.
fulfillment and all of all of humanity coming into this perfect harmony together, and everyone being all knowing. And the question is like this: if I am gonna live forever, right? So then I tried business, I tried sports, I tried music, I tried being gay, I tried being straight, I tried this, I went to this country, I did everything.
Everything. Right. You literally did everything.
I did
Okay.
everything possible, and now I'm
Wait,
back
wait.
on my
Let me
bed.
add to that. Let's say it's as we're advancing towards indefinite, or longer, much longer life of the physical body. Technology is advancing and allowing that. All kinds of technology, including like VR experiences and holograms and being everywhere in the world. You're going to be able to, in short, what I'm trying to say is, let's say you're going to be able to experience everything, and you're not even going to need hundreds of years for it. You're going to be able to be.
Okay, you're biting off more than I can chew
Okay,
in a
okay,
minute.
okay.
So,
Go
so
ahead.
no, bring it in, bring it in. But there's one question I want to know.
Okay.
If I've tried everything possible, because I had enough time
Yes.
to make as much money as I needed to try all these things, right? Because if it took me 45 years in order to get enough money to buy my own private plane, fine, it takes me 45 years. Then I bought my own plane. Now I did that too. Until I tried everything, I've done everything. Now I'm sitting back on my porch. Do I start to think? Do I start to think now? What is the meaning of this all?
That's great.
Will it actually bring us to it faster? I feel faster, even if it takes a couple hundred years for us to get there. Would it be faster?
That's fair.
It's a funny. It is a funny scenario. I would have to say that extending life just by itself won't bring us closer to the question about the meaning of life necessarily, but more experiences. Any experience that you go through in life advances you towards asking that question. So yes, the more a person goes through experiences in a shorter time, the faster they are moving towards the awakening, what we call in Kabbalah the reshimo, the spiritual reshimo, like a gene, right? Like this kind of line of code in your spiritual gene, where you start, oh, okay, what's the point of all of this? Wait a second, and essentially what made you and me and Chris and everyone here probably who's joining us on the watching the show right now, what made people who are asking today, what is the point in life? What's the meaning and purpose of my existence? What made them do that? They might be young people. I started asking this question from a very young age. So that's because we think of ourselves as just a body that lives and dies. But you are already an accumulation of thousands of years of human development before whatever happened to you in your short current life cycle. And so, so that would be my take on this.
Well, back in the day, you're saying that the lifespan was so short that basically you had to go through a lot of them to even get to like one of our lives today. It's like if you were,
and also a person today in one life cycle potentially knows more, is integrated with more, goes through more in a spiritual sense because we're all much more connected to each other.
Internet.
Yeah, internet, information, all
Information,
that.
experiences,
Exactly.
impressions.
There are these like classic comparisons of like, a person 100 years ago, read, the amount of information that today a person reads in like a month or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, these are just superficial examples. Behind the surface, there is an aggregation, an accumulation of spiritual experience, so to speak, that is unconscious until a person starts asking, what's the point in life? What am I doing here? What's the purpose of human existence? Why are we alive? What are we here for? And and I think, and of course, that's the point where you, I think with it, with that awakening, when a person begins to actually ask about the meaning and purpose of life, I think it comes with some understanding that
That there's an
it's
answer.
not that there's an answer that's beyond the body. There's an answer that
Right.
I'm looking to get in touch with, a reality that is already beyond my current bodily existence.
Bigger than me. Yeah.
The wisdom of
Yes.
Kabbalah is so unique in this regard. We're so fortunate to have these books and have a teacher, because this method is so unique in this regard. A person can only, a person, an animal, anything can only want what they want, right? Now I want a coffee. Now I want a new car. Now I want a better house. Whatever desire awakens in me, that's as much as I can want. Then, so animals, it's super, super limited. For us, we have advertising, right? I didn't know that I needed those sneakers, I didn't know
Ooh, start
that
getting
I
into
needed
the influence of the
a vacation
environment.
on a
That
cruise until I
Right.
saw the thing. So it starts building in me more and more and more. The wisdom of Kabbalah comes and says that all of this wisdom is to bring us to a point to realize that these things will never be fulfilled, and that leave all of your animal desires. I mean, food, family, sex, power, money, all these, that's normal, that's earthly stuff. But to reach eternality, we have to have this special desire for eternality. Like right now, we have a desire, like I said at the beginning, for a coffee,
Yeah.
for a cigarette break. I mean, think about, it's like the straw. It's like saving a straw compared to the trash problem. It's a tiny, we're solving tiny problems when we're facing the possibility of eternal perfection if we
And
knew how to want it.
yeah, and
wait us off. Wait.
yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just
What?
one more thing. When you talk about this question that comes up when you're saying what is the point of all this, right? Because that's a very specific, special question. Some people get very depressed and they feel that they can't be fulfilled with anything, and they commit suicide or they enter into depression, right? That's one thing. But someone who has this point in the heart that awakens, it's depressing on one hand because, listen, none of this is for me. I'm done with all of this. What is actually the point? And instead of falling into like this depressive hole, you go on a search, and you are looking for something very specific and very particular to answer that question. That it's like you have a template ready for you to receive the answer, and you know that it's out there somewhere. And then eventually that person will find the wisdom of Kabbalah who provides the answers if they're ready for it. But that question doesn't just come up, it's not the same kind of question as life is not, I don't enjoy life. It's different. It's deeper. It's
Yeah.
no. There's a reason I was born. There's a reason all this exists. It's like an inner feeling, and you can't really transfer that to someone. You can't transfer that to Ray Kurzweil and explain, listen, there's this desire
Yeah,
to.
you're right. You're right. You're right. It's yeah. Um,
Anyways,
but
that's what I was feeling that.
but but people do. I think that we got used to the idea. There's a good quote about this that I have from our teacher. I'll find it in a second and we'll read it. But we got used to the idea that we are bodies. It is so this is what I'm trying to express here. This is something that we take as a given. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter whether you are religious or secular, science-oriented or not. This walk of life, that walk of life, human beings, 99% of them, let's say, take out Kabbalists and maybe a few other people, we believe that all we are is bodies. And so it's natural that even the question about how can we extend our existence, how can we achieve eternal life, is going through, let's extend the life expectancy of the biological body, right? Because this is what's so funny to me. We're so locked in our limited perception of reality. And what Kabbalah does is it frees you from it, because it shows you it's just a perception. It is a perception. And your point that asks that point, what we call the point in the heart, that if you ask the question about the meaning and purpose of life, that point is already connected to another dimension of experience. It's just very small at the moment, and you need to develop it into what we call a vessel. But it's already...
You feel that it's completely different than anything else going on.
And that's why, going back to what Seth said a couple of minutes ago, I don't think we can express what we feel, from practicing the wisdom of Kabbalah, but essentially it raises you above this life. There's no other way to
Kurzweil
say
thing,
it.
it's really about quantity. It's like, in my life,
Right.
I'm going to drink, 10 million coffees. And if I live another 200 years, I'm going to drink, this many more coffees. Or in my life, I'm going to go on this many vacations. If I live another 200 years, I'll get that many more vacations. It's like,
Exactly.
there's no qualitative change.
The question is the wrong question. How can we live more, rather than how can we know what we're living for? How can we be truly fulfilled? And then true fulfillment is beyond the body.
I want to challenge you, because
true
that question,
eternity is, challenge, please do. And I found I have the quote
question
in
kind
front
of
of me,
sounds
by the way.
not new agey, but it's like,
Okay.
it's not the amount of life in our years, it's the amount of it's not the amount of
Like some quote on Instagram
what's the
you'd see or
quote? Yeah, it's not
something.
the amount of years
Please
to our
do.
life,
Challenge
it's the amount
away.
of life in our, that's it. So what you're saying is, it's not the amount of years in our life, it's the amount of life in our years. But
No,
it's just
no.
quote.
I don't think that's what we're saying at all. Thank you.
Of course, it's not what we're saying. I'm saying it sounds like that's what we're saying.
Yeah, it does
No,
sound
that
like
last
that.
sentence,
It
that
may
it just
sound like
sounded
that.
like a little bit. Yeah.
I'm saying that while we are living in this body, doesn't matter how long we live, we have an opportunity to move to a completely different level of existence beyond the body. And therefore, how much you have here with this body and how long it lives, even,
You could even say that the body is the springboard to get you there.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
But
check
once
this out.
you get
This
there,
check this out. This is
Let's hear the
this
quote.
is this is a good one.
Oh, yeah, but-
I have two. I don't remember which one is more relevant for this exact point in our discussion.
Read them both, I guess.
But maybe let's read them both. People have convinced themselves that there's no life beyond the body, but it's our body that dies and the spiritual part of the human that remains. People should gradually realize that we can correct the inner part of our being. The I doesn't disappear. The body disappears, but our inner force doesn't die. This should be known to each and every person. Doesn't matter who it is, black, white, red, or yellow, all human beings have this. And in fact, not just human beings. Here's another one. This is like from 3 days ago, right? And this one's from a couple of years ago. Maybe even 10 years ago. But by changing one's attitude to reality, one begins to see the opposite reality outside the self. One steps outside of himself and identifies with the outer world as if leaving one's body. The animate level. That's a good point. That's an important point. We are living on a level that Kabbalah doesn't even call us humans. as long as our life is focused on the body, and let's extend the body. What did the ancient Egyptians wanted to do? To mummify themselves, right? To just like get this body to cryogenics, and all of those ideas. Let's keep it's a wrong. It's from a Kabbalistic perspective, it's just the wrong level. You want to be on a higher level, but you're trying to fit it into the body, and that's not where it is. So when you change your attitude, as if leaving one's body, the animate level, and acquiring new senses, new qualities called human qualities. We have to do this in this life while living in this world. And so we don't need to die to get there. It's not heaven and hell somewhere out there. It's a perception.
Don't even talk
shift.
about it. If there wasn't death, then there wouldn't even be religions, if you think about it. Religions wouldn't exist if
touched
there was
upon
no
something
death.
very true and controversial.
Keep going. Okay.
Yes, let's keep going. In the near future, we'll see how the world will have to move towards the next level of development. So, there you go. A Kabbalist's take on this.
But you can't blame the people for feeling like all that there is the body.
Of course,
there's something.
Yeah. I mean, that's our intuitive sense of the world. If all you have is 5 senses, that and your body, and that's it.
The more smart you are, the more logical you are, the more you actually hold on to that, because the more you see that that's all that there is.
Yes, but here's the thing. I think, look, everything is converging. These ideas about technology will make us live forever, together with what we're finding in all kinds of areas of science, about the true nature of reality. I think we're gradually, it's happening from many different perspectives. We're being pushed to see that there has to be another level of experience, a higher level of human experience, that also has to be the solution for all our problems in the world. Because this is another thing. Okay, you can live forever. Does that solve the problems in the world? Does that make you less depressed?
Do I feel like polluting? Do I feel like polluting if I'm going to be here for another 1,000 years?
That's another thing.
Yeah, it changes your.
And by the way, this is one of the routine criticisms on Ray Kurzweil, that he only gives you like the optimist kind of, here's what technology can do for us. Oh, not well. In a decade, I don't know if this world is going to have clean air to breathe. I don't know if you know what I mean. I don't know if we don't, some crazy leader will not hit the red button and throw a nuclear strike somewhere. You know what I mean? So this is another point of view that is like forgotten here. So the only question that can really help us change course is, what's the point in life? But it's like we said in the beginning, it's a question. Baal Sulam calls it, remember how he writes in Introduction to Tess, that when sometimes it pecks at us and meets us uninvited, something like that, humiliates us to the ground before we are ready to use the ordinary ploy, which is to just flow with the currents of life. He talks about it so like almost poetically.
Today as yesterday, and tomorrow as today, something like that. Like if you feel what's behind the words, you really do feel like, wow, I'm just flowing, and that's it. That's why I remember being in college, like I'm gonna get my degree and become a parent, and then become a grandparent, and then die. It's like when you see it all laid out in front of you, and then you don't. If you accept it, you accept it. If you don't accept it, then you start looking for something else. But if you don't accept it, then you can't just go to some politician and be like, hey, politician guy. We should be focusing on the meaning of life. That doesn't. It just, we're talking to our audience, but it's just.
And yet,
it needs to brew a little bit.
Yet,
we're trying to brew it.
Spiritual enlightenment, usually don't use this phrase, but it is indeed the only thing that will shift where our world is going to a better place also. Because The appreciating our spiritual existence over the material existence is the only way to redefine what we're doing here on this planet. And it's also the only way to solve our problems, rising to a higher level of perception. I mean, if you think about any kind of pursuit of success, money, honor, power, in our world, which most people are engaged with, it's based on how can I get more from the system. More honor from the others, more money for me than the others, more power to me than the others. When we connect to our eternal selves, to
Don't give it all away. Don't give it all away.
Okay, so I'll stop here, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Woo!
Okay,
we should do that. We should do that every time.
You said it. You said it.
We'll see you next time, and we will see you next time because you want more.
All right, guys.
That was fun. Thank you.
Awesome.
That was fun.
Awesome.
Okay.
Eternity is right there. Friends, we'll see you next time.
Yes.
Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, the Great Transition, looking at what's going on in this world through the lens of the wisdom of Kabbalah. We have an incredible future ahead of us. Let's hold on, learn about what's going on, find that door, and go through. We'll see ya.
Bye, everyone. Thursday,
Bye.
2 p.m.
To see every part of me behind the skies, above all the lights. Don't know where I begin and where you end. The dance of the stars, like kisses the dark, a fountain of love. Skies above all the lines, don't know